Hello everyone and welcome to Contentment Guide Astrology. This video is about the new moon on the 1st of November in the sign of Scorpio. Welcome to my channel and please like, please share, please subscribe, leave your comments. I love to know how these planetary energies are playing out in your life at the moment. And your interaction helps my business and my channel to grow, so I appreciate it tremendously. So this new moon is happening at 9 degrees and 35 minutes of Scorpio, and the ruler of this new moon is Mars. And at the time of this new moon, Mars is almost directly opposite Pluto. So I have made a separate video on this Mars-Pluto opposition, as this is actually happening perfectly on the 3rd of November, but it plays a big role in this new moon. And then it happens again because of the Mars retrograde at the start of January and also at the end of April. So this is a transit that's really significant over the next 6-7 months and is going to help us change certain parts of our lives and get to new outcomes. So there's no doubt that this Mars-Pluto opposition is the strongest influence at the time of this new moon. And Scorpio is already a sign that is about depth and mystery. And with Mars, the ruler of this new moon, being opposite Pluto, it draws us further into the mystery, our shadow selves, those things that we may not want to look at about ourselves, and things that might be coming to light to be dealt with in order for us to carry on with our own evolution at this time. So with Mars and Pluto, this is quite a challenging dance. These are not too easy energies to work with. Pluto is about our shadow self. It is about going into the underground and excavating parts of ourselves that are now ready to be seen. It can really amplify things. Pluto can make feelings very intense. It can make experiences very intense. It either suppresses stuff or brings things to light. So there are these two opposites playing together with Pluto in itself. And Pluto can also make things microscopic or macroscopic. So it's a very intense energy to deal with. And with Mars itself, Mars is about our drive, our actions, our passions. It's about sexuality, ambition, and it can also deal with things like war, with anger, arguments, more dissonant energies that the symbology of Mars can bring into our lives. So you can imagine with Mars being opposite Pluto, we may be dealing with some uncomfortable energies, but there's no doubt in my mind that this is obviously the perfect time for the collective to be dealing with these things, as with this Mars retrograde happening from the 6th of December, we're going to have the Mars opposition to Pluto happening 3 times. So it's like the universe is calling us to really thoroughly look at these things that we may have been putting off looking at for a while. So yes, so this is the strongest energy at this new moon and very transformational. I always urge people not to be afraid of these energies. Yes, they can be intense, and it's really important to be very compassionate with ourselves and with others, because these energies will obviously affect you differently depending on the configuration of your personal natal chart, but there might be people close to you or at your workplace or other places in your life that are experiencing these energies in very intense ways. So for this week until the new moon, and also for the 2 weeks after, and equally almost until the end of April, when we are finished working with these opposition energies between Mars and Pluto, be mindful and compassionate, because the whole collective is going to be dealing with more shadow parts of ourselves and things coming to light, and really big changes, because Pluto brings that energy of alchemy, and we can really transform things and come out as whole different beings with whole new direction in our lives. So at this new moon, there is also 2 kite formations happening in the sky, which gives me a sigh of relief, because I think the Mars-Pluto opposition can be really intense, but the kite energy brings this underlying feeling of all is well. Be with what is happening right now, be kind, be gentle, let things surface, and these underlying kite energies is going to hold you in this process. So there are 2 kites forming in the chart. The one is pointing directly at Pluto, which again points to that alchemical change and transformation. And the one is pointing at Uranus, which brings up the unexpected light bulb moments, things we didn't see coming. And so there's a lot of transformation and change in this new moon chart. So the planets involved with these 2 kites are obviously Pluto and Uranus, where the kites are pointing to. And then the other planets are at the end, Neptune at the end of Pisces, Mars at the end of Cancer, and Mercury at the end of Scorpio. So these are super dynamic energies that we are dealing with. And yes, patience and gentleness is required. I did a Ching reading for this new moon by throwing the coins, and I feel that this new moon, more so than any other new moon, because it is in Scorpio and because of the energies prevailing with the ruler of Scorpio, Mars, at this time, it is more important than ever to really be inward and really evaluate and do our inner evaluation at this time of the new moon. Even if you have to, if you are lucky enough to break away from friends and family for a little bit on the new moon, and really go inward and sit with yourself. The word that comes up in the I Ching reading is standstill, but to me it is also stillness. So the I Ching hexagram I got for this reading is hexagram 12, and there were no changing lines, so that almost makes it so much more direct, because it's just this one hexagram, and it is called standstill, or a block of communication. And it says, withdraw, take time alone and go within, evaluate your principles. This is a time for inner action, not for action out in the world. This is a time for setting your intentions and your goals, but not taking action yet. This can be a time of upheaval and mistrust out in the world. Don't be dazzled by what the world offers right now. There is too much upheaval in the air. Tend to your inner world and your inner principles. This is not a time to connect to groups or to outward action. Find your stillness within. So this I Ching reading is really on point for Scorpio, for Mars, for this new moon, to really go inward and spend time with yourself. And then I also drew a tarot card, and again, very apt. I received the Devil card. And again, just as with Pluto or Mars, there's sometimes fear in the collective around the Devil card, but there's really nothing to fear here. In the card, you can see a man and a woman, and they are in chains. And behind them, we see Baphomet. He is a creature that is half man and half goat. And in ancient times, he really just symbolized the balance between good and evil, masculine and feminine, and general balance out there in the world. So I feel the Devil card is calling us to really go inward and find our inner balance, because I think there might be a lot of upheaval and things happening in the world out there. And the other symbology in the Devil card is that you see the masculine and the feminine standing there, and they are in chains. But the most important symbology of the chains are that they are actually loose. So when we spend that time going inward and re-evaluating our values and our principles, we can actually break free of the chains that have been holding us. So this is a perfect card for this new moon energy, to deal with our inner shadows and demons, to re-evaluate how we want to move forward, maybe to break free from addictions and chains that have been binding us. So the Devil card, the words that represent the Devil card: limiting beliefs, the shadow self, attachments to outcomes, addictions, restrictions, sexuality, where you feel trapped and where you perceive limitations. And again, we know that with this card, the limitations are perceived because the chains are loose, and we can break free of these energies by going inward and getting still and being with ourselves. So yes, I think this is going to be quite an intense new moon. There's a lot happening in the world, and I think there's a lot surfacing for us as individuals, and dealing with our own shadow aspects and addictions and things that are maybe not moving us forward in the direction of, where we would like to go. So again, if you can, go inward, spend time alone, re-evaluate your belief systems and your goals, and don't take action at this time, but wait a little bit to see where the right time is to take your action going forward. Thank you for being here, and please share your comments. I love to hear your experiences, and I will see you next time.